Okay, so hello. This video is for doing the first part of our mask construction. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make this mask blank, basically, that we're going to use to build all of our parts off of. So after we do the parts, or after we build the mask, we can start to glue forms onto this, and then we'll paper mache them after that. So this video is going to be an introduction, a how-to tutorial on how to make this thing that we're all going to start with. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a board that is 16 inches by 10 inches, okay, roughly. I mean, the 10 inches is actually probably a little bit more critical than the 16 inches. It's okay if it's a little bit longer. It's okay if it's a little bit shorter. If you have a really tall head, make sure it's at least 16 inches. If not, then it probably won't matter too much, but 10 inches by 16 inches, okay? The important thing to remember with this is that when you're laying it out, the corrugation needs to run parallel to the short edge. So if you look at it, you'll see that the lines of the corrugation run back and forth like this. Another way to think about it is you'll see the holes on the end of the long side, on the edge of the long side, and then on the edge of the short side you won't see the holes. So you want the long side to be able to see the holes. It's really important to have the corrugation set properly in relation to everything else in order to be able to make this form easily. Okay, so I want to add that in. The first thing we're going to do after we do our 16 by 10 inch cutout is to do some layout lines. Okay? And the first thing we need to do for the layout lines is break it into 5 long strips, basically. And you're going to do this with a ruler and a pencil. And you'll just make a mark. You'll lay your ruler down, and you'll make a mark. Make sure you're starting at the 0 line, but you'll make a mark at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches. That'll break your board into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips. You're going to do the same thing at the other end. Break it into 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches. That'll break it, again, into 5 pieces. Then, if it helps, you don't have to do this step, but if it helps, you can make lines all the way down your board to connect those. All right. So eventually we're going to cut on these lines, but we need to make a few more construction lines before we get to the point of doing any cutting. There's 3 of them. There's 1 more to do here. All right. After we do that, it should look like this with lines all the way down the board. You need to, after we do that, we need to find the center. So if it's 16 inches tall, we need to make a mark on this one side at 8 inches. Here, we can make it out here on the outside. Maybe it'll be easier. At 8 inches. And then on the other side at 8 inches. All right. That'll mark our center. Okay. We want to make sure we find our center. And then we'll just mark our centers with a dashed line, but make sure your dashed line covers over top of each of your lines so you know where everything is. All right, so just like that. You see I mark my center line. From there, you need to mark 3 inches out this way. No, excuse me. 2.5 inches out this way and 2.5 inches out this way from the center line. I'll show you how to do that. So you mark it here at 2.5. Mark it here at 2.5. Same thing on the other side. 2.5. 2.5. Then you're going to connect them. In this case, you can use a solid line because we're actually going to cut on this line. Or, actually, no, just make a little cross mark at every crossing. This is going to be a termination line. All right, so then your board should look like that. A little cross at every line, okay? All right, so The next step is to score. This step is important because it's going to make everything else easier, but you got to be careful not to cut all the way through the material. We're just going to score the material. So you'll put your ruler down on the line, take your knife, and gently cut through the top layer of the cardboard. Do not cut all the way through. And what you want to do is you want to score all 4 of the lines. All right, after you've scored all the lines, you can then bend them slightly at the crease lines, just like this. And you'll see you'll start to get your barrel shape for our mask thing. Now, the scored part will bend easier like this. So you could bend it like all the way like this if you want to, but it will probably be stronger if you bend it like this with the part you didn't cut on the outside instead of on the inside. So you can see you can do it like this also, and it's easy to bend that way, but for our purposes, let's try to bend it like this so it's a little bit stronger, okay? The next thing you're going to do is take your knife, and you're going to use this mark that you made, and you're going to cut all the way through the cardboard all the way out to the end, okay? So at every one of these lines, you're going to put your knife at that mark and pull it all the way out to the end. I'm going to put my knife in, pull it all the way out. It'll be easy because you already have the score there. But you just go through, cut it, flip around, do the other end, cut it, and what you'll have when you get there is you'll end up with these little flaps, basically. So they'll be all joined in the middle here, but you'll have flaps on either end, okay? After you do that, you need to roll these ends, okay? So what you'll do is you can bend them at that tick mark right there, right here, and then roll them with your hands. So just what I like to do is hold them vertical and then slowly keep pressing them into the table while I'm walking your fingers back. And that will soften them up and make them bendy. So then you'll end up with these shapes. Okay? And you need to do that for all 10 of the fingers. And this will just take a little bit of time here, but it's important to get them all softened up before you start gluing anything together. So work them pretty well so they have good creases in them and they're pretty easy to shape. All right, and you want to, like I said, you want to do that at both ends. All right, so might hurt your hands, but it won't take too long. So then you're end up with this shape where it's all curvy at the ends and it's kind of floppy. All right. This is all the cutting we have to do to make this form. All that's left to do is some gluing. So to do the gluing, what you're going to do is you're going to take the two, fold the middle three down like this, so that the middle, these two are the lowest, all right? And then this one sits on top of it, okay? And then you're going to fold these two, pull them in like this, so you can connect the corners of these two outside pieces. They need to overlap like that, okay? And the easy thing to do is if you connect them like that, you can make a little line on here. They'll show you where you can glue. Pop some glue on here, and then bring your cardboard back to the lines you just drew on there, and then you're going to have to hold it until it cools, which will just take a minute. Just don't have to hold it forever, but long enough that it gets hard and you can move on to the next step, which is, after you do that, you have to take this middle tab, which is the one that connects to the main panel here in the middle, and sneak some glue underneath it onto here like this, and press it in and glue it like that. Okay, that's the next one. And then these two panels, this panel and this panel, they get glued on the top of the inside. So after you do those, you can just lift these up, glue under one, drop it, glue under the other, drop it. And then you kind of want to press out on them a little bit so they start to really form this shape. All right, so push, press, slide them towards the front with your hand like that, and try to hold them so they get nice and firm in there. Okay? And that'll give you your chin, basically. All right? Now, to do the head, or the top part, you're going to do it the same way. So you're going to put the top ones on the outside, this one in the middle, and then these two on the bottom. All right? So it'll all get formed like this. This thing is designed to be a little bit adjustable though, so you can put it on your face and change how tall it needs to be. Like mine probably needs to go right there, and then you can kind of pinch it, mark everything, and then glue it up. All right, so the gluing happens the same way. Do the outsides first. And then the middle panel. Try not to get glue all over your person because it can burn you. And then you'll do these two side panels. And after you've done that, you'll have your mask blank, okay? There's mine. You can adjust the height too a little bit by adjusting how they're rounded. Oops, premature there. If it comes apart, just add some more glue. Not a big deal. But this is the shape we're going to start with, and all of our mask forms will build onto this thing. So this is the base skeleton on which everything is going to get constructed. I will walk you through this in class, and then you'll have a better idea of, we'll go through it step by step in class, and you'll know what to do. Thank you.